Hey, welcome into the House of L podcast. I'm Laurence Holmes. Thanks so much for hanging out. If you're checking us out on the audio platforms, we appreciate you. There was an audio only podcast where I talked about my career at the Score because I had my Score anniversary last week. So if you want to go check it out, Spotify or on iTunes, you can check it out, or Apple. I don't even know if iTunes technically exists anymore, but on Apple, House of L, it's up if you want to go check it out. It ran really long, so I didn't want to do like a super long video. Plus, I'm pretty sure that the YouTube algorithm thinks that my pod is a Bears pod, so we're just going to lean into that a little bit. There'll be other stuff that we do, but it's very funny the difference in the traction between the Bears stuff and other stuff. So this is actually a Bears pod, though. There's some stuff that I wanted to talk about. I know that this reference that I'm getting ready to make. Oh, and by the way, we were brought to you by the fine folks over at Remy Martin. Team up with excellence. Boom. The Chicago VSOP. It's really good. You should get some. Perfect for a couple of summer nights like we've had lately. A little ginger ale or ginger beer. With the Remy, you're good to go. So this reference is really old, like it predates me, but I feel like it's worth us talking about. I am Spartacus. I am Caleb. The Seth Wickersham piece that came out yesterday, or the snippet from his book, which I honestly can't wait to read, not just because of the Caleb stuff, but I think that the topic of quarterbacking is fascinating to me and how it's not one size fits all. Different quarterbacks need different things to exist in the spaces that they're in. And hearing the stuff about Caleb is fascinating to me. I heard national guys talking this morning, guys that I like Dan Graziano, Dominique Foxworth, who I think is really amazing. His podcast is awesome. And they were saying how Chicago's going to turn on Caleb. I'm like, I don't know about that. And the reason why is I am Spartacus. We are all Caleb. We're all Caleb because all of those things that he feared about the Bears from an organizational standpoint that came out in the Seth Wickersham piece is all stuff that we feared. For example, those of us who were in the Justin Wars, those of us who were in the Justin Fields camp, and I am one of those people, we were saying the same thing. It doesn't seem like they have the right infrastructure to bring a young quarterback along. And Justin's still on his journey, and I still think that he's got the potential to be a top half quarterback in the NFL. We'll see how this goes with the Jets. It's not the place I would have picked for him, but it's his choice. Anyway, those of us who were Justin fans had that feeling of, man, like this, they didn't do right by that kid. You could even make the argument that as an organization, they didn't do right by Mitch. So that fear is inherent. It was ever present. And I understand why Caleb and Carl, his dad, Carl Williams, would look at it and say, I don't know if I want to be there. Granted, to Graziano's point and Foxworth's point, if things don't work out, I'm sure there will be people who will label Caleb as a diva and say, well, he never wanted to be here anyway. Therefore, that's why it didn't work out. He's in a much better position now than what he was last year. If we think back to all of the things, like all of the blinking warning signs that came along with what was happening in year 3 of Matt Eberflus, how could you not have a lack of confidence in the Bears to do right by Caleb? We are all Caleb. Every single one of us. There isn't one of you that is watching or listening to this that going into last season, when you heard what Jackson Smith and Jigba had said about Shane Waldron, or when you watched Hard Knocks and you were like, I don't think the head coach has a really good handle on offensive football. You felt uncomfortable. And I think that it is more than okay for all of us to really look at this from a bigger perspective. If you were Caleb, you would have done the exact same thing as he and his father did. They did the due diligence. They thought about all of the different ways that they could make their life better, and Caleb could have the best football experience possible. Can I go back to school if I want to? Do I want to play in the UFL? You don't want to play in the UFL. But do I want to play in the UFL? Do I want to try and force the hand of the Bears to trade out of the number 1 pick? And also, I'm going to meet with the Bears. I'm going to explain to them my concerns, and I'm going to see how they answer the questions of those concerns. I honestly, I get that the quotes are out there, and it might make some people uncomfortable, and you're like, team. It's all about the team. He needs to buy into the team. Yes, but look at what happened. It turns out that Caleb Williams and Carl Williams and Caleb's management group, they were right. Ryan Poles didn't put together the best nest for him. They got him an offensive coordinator that we all laughed at when Stacey Dales had the report about him not having his first 15 plays scripted. When Mercedes Lewis was telling you, yeah, this doesn't, I'm not used to the way that we're being coached. When other players were talking about what was going on at practice, when Cole Kmet tried to ring the alarm, when Jalen Johnson tried to ring the alarm, we all were like, this doesn't feel right. I had Spice on this very podcast, and you can go back and look. Go back and listen to the episode with Spice, where Spice says, yeah, Caleb had a pretty good year. Because it was kind of like he was doing it by himself. And then you get the quote from Caleb in the piece saying, yeah, I was watching film by myself. No one helped me. The Bears made a critical mistake last year. And that mistake was thinking that a rookie quarterback was going to come in and be in charge of their franchise, and as my guy Hamp would say, is going to be deodorant for what stinks around here. And to a degree, no pun intended, he did that. But Ryan Poles knew something was off in training camp. He admitted to that. And they didn't do anything. They didn't do anything until weeks in. The fact that Shane Waldron, I don't want to relitigate this, and this will probably be the last time I bring it up, but the hiring practices that went into hiring Shane Waldron were ridiculous. The fact that a defensive coach as good as Matt Eberflus is couldn't see through that guy's bullshit, and furthermore, hired him to run his offense with the most important player of Matt Eberflus's head coaching career, and the fact that there wasn't anyone along the way to go, are we sure that this is the best that we can do for this situation and this quarterback? Go back now. Like, think about everything that happened inside of last year. Think about when Cliff Kingsbury was asked about the process of doing the interviews to be the Bears offensive coordinator. Think about his reaction to it. Throw all of it into a gumbo. And what does it tell you? It tells you that they severely messed up. Now, the beautiful thing for Ryan Poles is that he got to keep his job. And I don't know how slick he was talking to keep it, but he kept it. And they seemingly fixed their practices of hiring. And I'm not sure who the credit goes to. And I was saying this on the station and people found it unsatisfying, but maybe it is Ryan Poles saying, I really messed this up. I want to be a great general manager. I am going to reflect on what it is that we did wrong, and I'm going to be better. I don't know if it was Kevin Warren going, I see a lot of potential in you. You need to clean this shit up. We cannot have another hiring like we had with this Shane Waldron guy. Are you sure that you did your due diligence and you made the right hire? And what went into that? Well, you know what? We're going to streamline that process, and we're going to talk to everybody. And we're going to focus on the guy that we want, but we're going to talk to everybody. And that's how you end up with Ben Johnson. But as far as Caleb is concerned, I am probably around Carl Williams's age right now. I would imagine that we're like in a peer group. And let me tell you something. If I were Caleb's dad, I would have done the exact same thing. I don't like how this looks. Why don't we look at all of our options and then you make the decision that you feel comfortable with? They did that. And there's no one that can, in my opinion, that can say that they did the Bears dirty or whatever. They did what they were supposed to do. Caleb went into the interviews with Ryan Poles, and Poles did a good enough job of saying to him, we're going to change the history of what this franchise is. Now, he didn't do that in year one, but in hiring Ben Johnson, it feels like that's at least moving in the right direction. But I don't want to see any shade thrown Caleb's way on this. Not one bit. Because he did exactly what you would have done in that situation. You wouldn't have just sat there and been like, well, I think it's going to be okay. You would have worked the problem. Think about all the times that you were like, what is going on with this offense? Think about Shane Waldron laughing on the bench while Caleb Williams is sitting there in pain being like, are you going to help me out? Think about the fact that there was that moment in the post-game press conference where Caleb is like, well, I talked to my old coach. I didn't call him. He called me. You want to know why? Because he needed to hear someone with football bona fides go, am I crazy? Or is this not the way that it's supposed to work? All of this stuff adds up now. All of it. And it adds up into Ryan Poles messed up royally. Whether that's him listening to Trace Armstrong or listening to Matt Eberflus, I don't care. He messed up royally. It looks like he's on his way to fixing it. And it looks like things are going to be better for the Bears, Caleb Williams, and this offense going forward. And yeah, if Caleb really, really struggles with Ben Johnson coaching him hard, then that's another subject that we'll deal with later. But as far as that kid wanting the best situation to be drafted into, whether he was trying to get to Minnesota or not, he's the Bears quarterback now, and the Bears did everything that he and his father feared in year one. And now they got to make it right in year two. We are all Caleb. We all saw it. So don't give him shit for this. Because you, in his position, would have done the same damn thing. I applaud him, and I hope that things are better going forward. I will talk to you next time. Peace.